Have you ever been so in love with someone that just meeting them once and not being able to see them again completely derailed your entire life? No? Well, that's pretty normal, but not for Kagetsu. This dude met Ruka for one day and had the most fun ever. Then, when he goes to meet her again, realizes she's moved and literally quits being a pro. What in the Meanwhile, Ruka remembers him. Honestly, I was under the impression this girl was like some extreme airhead, or some otherworldly strong fighter. She wouldn't remember people unless they were ridiculously strong, but she never met them, that's why she started moving everywhere. But no, she's just a ridiculously free spirit. She doesn't get a lot of backstory, and I wish there was more, especially between her and the rest of Blackout or even Kagetsu. But it's just so funny to me how losing to Miss Creator of Blackout gave my man Kagetsu his entire life mission, and also made him quit his entire life mission at the exact same time. This is a level of in love I don't think has ever been topped off just the top of my head. Not being able to see her made you really reevaluate your whole life, dude. Anyways, he finally meets her again, and of course, he's gonna fight her. You've never seen someone this happy before in their entire life. And he gets his rematch. Who will win? The Guardian of the Moon or the Guide for Lost Souls? Let's find out! Kagetsu goes first, and he rides the Grade 0 Envoy of the Moon, Repsold, while Ruka rides Grade 0, the one who arrives at Paradise, Lucent. Kagetsu draws, and Kagetsu goes first, discarding a random card, most likely a Ravenorg, because by golly, if I've got 16 in my deck, why wouldn't I discard that, and rides Fresnel, and with its effect, he can set a Moongate from his deck. Kagetsu ends his turn. He's got nothing to do here, so nothing to change. It's turn 2. It's Ruka's turn, and she draws. She discards most likely her Pompidillo and rides Yotel. With Lucent's skill, she draws a card, and she attacks. To which Kagetsu no guards. Kagetsu takes the first damage of the fight, a Ravenorg. Now, should Kagetsu have actually guarded here? No. There's actually no need for him to guard because you see later in the fight that he actually needs just 3 counterblasts or even 2 just to work his deck. He doesn't actually need to take damage so early in the fight, but using up cards in his hand would have just put him at a disadvantage later on in the fight for guarding. Honestly, I don't see any problems with taking damage so early in this fight. But should Ruka have actually been calling more to rush Kagetsu? The answer to that is actually yes. In order to really stop the full field of Vase Ruka from coming out, you need to rush him, because then he starts having to use more cards in his hand. Maybe he uses up more Ravenorg. He's gonna call from the top of his deck no matter what, so the only thing you can do is just prevent him from getting a full field by just limiting his hand. So I think she could have rushed, and she should because she does have the deck for it. But honestly, it's okay for you not to rush him. It depends really on how you want to play this. It's turn 3 and it's back to Kagetsu, and he draws. Discarding a random card, most likely another Ravenorg, he rides Ramsden, and with its effect, he looks at the top 7 cards of his deck and puts a Ravenorg into his hand and a Rotsneer into the Moongate. He then calls his Ravenorg and attacks with Ramsden, to which Ruka no guards. Ruka hits her first damage of the fight, a Tideline Dragon, and when he attacks with Ravenorg, it's guarded by Ruka's Leaf Feather Dragon. How could have Kagetsu played this differently though? Truthfully, he could have called another unit to rush even more, another Ravenorg or something, because he definitely had more, which truthfully might have been better for him. Against a deck like Ruka's, rushing early is actually one of the better strategies, because her deck only starts calling from the drop later, and truthfully, it's only one unit being called per turn because of the order. Making her use more cards from her hand means that later in the fight, she has to make a choice from the order, either by calling from the drop or giving it an extra crit by Nanaclear's effect. So I think it's actually important when you're facing a deck like Nanaclear, because she also calls from the top a lot, to just keep going and just rush her more so that she uses up more of her hand later. And if you do, then she's gonna start falling behind. If I had to play this differently, I would have started rushing much earlier if I could, and I would say that if Kagetsu didn't have the benefit of 2020 hindsight, he also could have done this still. But he has played her before as well. Are you telling me he's so down bad he fell in love and she stole his damn heart after playing him once, and even though he knows the deck inside and out, he still doesn't know that rushing her is the best way to win? Bruh, this is why you can't catch your heart. It's back to Ruka and it's turn 4. She draws, she discards a card, and Miyako launches into action. she rides Nocturne, and she calls Yotel from the soul with its effect and soul charges to the back row. She then calls a Leaf Feather Dragon, and with its effect, she counterblasts, look at the top 3 card of her deck, and calls Famaja. She attacks with Famaja first, and Kagetsu no guard, hitting Garzarum, the second damage of the fight. She then attacks with Nocturne, and Kagetsu guards with a heal trigger. Then, boosted by a Yotel, she attacks with Leaf Feather Dragon, and he guards this attack. To guard this attack, he needs to use another trigger, so that's what I'm gonna imagine, because he starts out next turn with 4 cards, meaning he only used 1 card to guard. With that, Ruka ends her turn. Now, what could have Kagetsu done differently this turn? Actually, Kagetsu made a very big mistake here. Now let me explain. This section only works if you understand how the Mythish deck works, but I'll try to explain it the best I can. Vase Ruger only needs 1 counterblast to function and give you another attack. Meanwhile, in order to boost your hand, usually people use Rotsneer and use either a CV or Energy Blast 3 to draw a card. Kagetsu, for the rest of this fight, will not use a single bit of energy except when he uses Rotsneer. In truth, during this very moment, he could have guarded all these attacks and kept himself to 1 damage. If he'd done that, he'd have no difference in his upcoming turn. He'd be literally playing the exact same turn I'm about to tell you, but with 1 less damage that he doesn't even use. And in the future this turn, I'm not joking with you, he doesn't even use 4 of his counterblasts by the end of this fight. Meaning that if he had guarded Famaja, which is an extremely easy card to guard with just a 5k shield needed, he could have won this fight. This is a very big miscalculation from, of course, our Mythish fighter, but you know, he's so distracted by the girl that he loves so much, clearly he just kinda forgot how to play the game. It's turn 5, it's Kagetsu's turn, and he draws. He's at 4 cards in his hand, but he gets to bring out the Guardian of the Moon. And I'm not talking about Sailor Moon. He discards a card from the moon, and the Nordic moon god Manny's counterpart will now put Ruka through the gauntlet. He rides Vase Ruger. He activates the Moon Gate, and by Energy Blast and resting this card, he gets to call from the top 7 cards of his deck a Rotsneer to the right side column. And I'm just gonna be spitballing because I'm pretty sure he's got good luck with this deck. He puts 2 Mythish into the Moon Gate. Then he uses Vase Ruger's skill, Soul Blasting twice and looking at the top 7 again and calling another Ravenor to the back row behind Vase Ruger. He then activates Armor, whose effect lets him retire Yotel, and then the counterblast effects for the rest of his Mythish for this turn are reduced by 1 when they're called from the Moon Gate. He then attacks with Rotsneer and activates his effect. You don't see it, but he does use it, leading to him drawing a card and Rotsneer getting another 5,000 more power. It attacks the Vanguard and Leaf Feather Dragon simultaneously, to which Ruka guards the Vanguard, with what I can only assume was either a draw trigger or a normal trigger, because later we see that she's got 5 cards in her hand, but she does let Leaf Feather Dragon get retired. Then he attacks with Vase Ruger, and using its skill, with 1 counterblast, he retires the resting Rotsneer and calls from the Moon Gate another Rotsneer and a Ravenor, along with the entire front row getting an extra 5,000 power from Vase Ruger's skill. Ruka no guards his attack, to which Kagetsu drive checks twice, to which he gets a Garzarum and a front trigger. Ruka gets hit with her 2nd damage of the fight. Kagetsu then attacks with his Ravenor, to which Ruka guards with a front trigger. Then he attacks once again, simultaneously with Rotsneer, and also activates his effect, getting to draw another card, and he retires Famaja along with dealing her another damage. It's now 2 damage for Kagetsu with her at 3, so it's pretty tough. And I'm not gonna lie, Kagetsu has 7 cards in his hand, which is pretty insane considering how much damage he's already done. It's turn 6. Here we go. It's time to finally see what kind of style did Ruka play that managed to make one of the strongest fighters in the entire D series fall so in love with her. Here comes her Vanguard. Grace and light emanate from this fairy's body, and upon beautiful wings she soars into flight, illuminating the path for those lost. Ruka rides Nana Clear. With Famaja's skill, she binds it from the drop and she gets the card she just discarded to ride Nanaclear. With Nocturne's skill, it gets called to the back row behind Nanaclear and she puts a card from the drop into the soul. With Nanaclear's skill, with a counterblast, she can look at the top 5 cards of her deck and call a Weaslane, who gets 5,000 power. She then uses Seat Milfete, which lets her make a choice between 2 effects. She chooses to call Yotel from the drop. Under Nana Clear's wings and from the wind circling around the world, the paradise of flowers appears in front of her. Nana Clear's effect activates and lets her turn the world into a stray garden. This effect is activated when she has 3 or more one who arrived at paradises on the field. Nana Clear also gets a triple drive. Now, I just gotta say to my bro Kagetsu, bro, can you please just shoot your shot? Holy crap, this is like the 2nd time. You are so in love. Can you please just shoot your shot, man? Ruka then calls Dianza with her skill. Using a counterblast, she calls him to drop Pumpadillo. She attacks with Weaslane first, to which Kagetsu intercepts with its Rotsnir, and using Ruka's skill, gives it an extra 5,000 shield by returning another mission from the drop into the bottom of the deck. She then boosts with Nocturne and attacks with Nanaclear. And with a counterblast, Nanaclear restands Weaslane. Kagetsu no-guards this attack. Ruka gets a triple drive. She gets a Weaslane, a Nanaclear, and a critical trigger. Kagetsu takes 2 damage from the attack, and she gives 10,000 power to Pumpadillo. Kagetsu hits 2 damage, including a perfect guard. Now, boosted by Yotil, she attacks with Weaslane, to which Kagetsu guards with a simple Raven Arc and a critical trigger. She then puts the Weaslane into her soul, and she gets to draw another card. Ruka then boosts with Dianza and attacks with her Pumpadillo, to which Kagetsu guards with a Raven Arc and a front trigger. Now, the most important thing here to note is that Kagetsu only used 5 of the cards in his hand to guard this turn. But he still got so many. This Mythish deck is actually ridiculous. It's turn 7. It is now the important turn for both of them. Ruka has 7 cards in her hand. Is that enough to block the Sailor Moon? Let's find out. Kagetsu, Persona Rise. And notice here what he does. He doesn't activate the Moon Gate. No. He decides to activate the Moon Gate using Ruka's skill. Now, why does he do this? He does this because he wants to use Rotsnir effect later. Because he's going first, he's only got 6 energy to work with this turn. He's only got 4 cards in his hand to work with this turn. I get wanting to prepare for the next turn, but she's got 7 cards in her hand, man. Just go all in. You know that one of the cards in her hand is a Persona, right? So she's only got 6 cards to guard with at max. Especially with the order he plays this turn. Like, why? Why are you not just going all in, bro? Anyways, using the Moon Gate, he looks at the top 7 cards, and there he calls the final Mythish and the technological god of getting an overpowered order to your hand. He calls Hell's Vanguard. With its effect, he calls Ilif Gulmani from the deck to his hand. Then, from his hand, he calls a Rotsnir and a Garzarum. The 3 children of Loki are here, and they're here to bring the Bringer of Light down. The golden star shines, and with a counterblast, he activates Ilif Gulmani. All the Mythish get 5,000 power, but if they were called from an ability, they get an extra 5,000 power. From here, this is what we have. With Hell's Vanguard boosting, he attacks with Rotsnir and attacks Pumpadillo and Nanaclear. Now, here's where he doesn't realize, because Pumpadillo's ability means that Rotsnir loses 10,000 power by retiring itself. Now, of course, he could have simply asked what on earth Pumpadillo's ability was, but once again, this is anime, baby! But she reduces the attack and she guards with 2 cards, either a critical trigger or a heal trigger. And at the end of the battle, using Hell's Vanguard's skill, he countercharges. Now, he boosts with a Raven Arc and then attacks with Ruka. And with a counterblast, he calls from the Moon Gate a Garzarum to the back row and a Rotsnir. With another counterblast, Garzarum can now attack from the back row. Ruka no guards and she has 5 cards in her hand still. Kagetsu draw checks. He gets a critical trigger and gives all the power to his Garzarum and the critical to Ruka. And does it again, and he gets a draw trigger and gives the power to Rotsnir. Ruka damage checks and gets a heal trigger. She heals 1. This is the luckiest play of this fight, because goddamn, without it, she would have lost. Like straight up, she would have lost. He attacks with back row Garzarum with 45,000 power, and she no guards again. She's now at 5 damage. He then attacks with Rotsnir with 50,000 power, to which she guards with a Weaslane and a front trigger. And now finally, the last attack. Boosted by Raven Arc, he attacks with Garzarum, and this attack is at 60,000 power. She guards with a perfect guard. Holy, she survived. Thank goodness, because she should have lost. She got saved by a heal trigger, because any other trigger other than an OT, she would have lost. She truly needed either a heal trigger or an OT, and she got it. She is very, very lucky. It's turn 8. Ruka truly needs something here. Something that can even make the Moon Guardian's trial blow away. She persona rides Nana Clear. With her skill, she calls Leaves Feather from the top 5 cards of her deck. With the Stray Garden blooming once again, Leaves Feather can now look at the top 7 cards instead of her usual 3. And she calls a Tide Line Dragon. And with its effect and a Soul Blast, she gives 10,000 power to Leaves Feather and Tide Line. And now she uses Seed Milk Fatigue again. With her second choice, she can give a plus 5,000 power to Leaves Feather Dragon, and when it restands, it gets an extra critical. With Leaves Feather Dragon and a Soul Blast, it gets another 10,000 power. Kagetsu no guards it, hitting a new order. She then attacks with Nana Clear, and she restands Leaves Feather Dragon. Kagetsu guards and intercepts. Now, you might be wondering, why didn't he use the Vase Ruger effect twice? Nana Clear is actually here at 38,000 power, so even if he did give it another 5,000 power, it still wouldn't change the fact that she'd break through the block. So it's better just to return less cards to the deck so that you can draw the card. But she needs 2 triggers to break through this shield, and if she can't, she loses. She drive checks, hitting a Sit, Mid, Feet, and a draw trigger. She gives the 10,000 power to her Vanguard, and in truth here, this is her only way to win. Because if you see Kagetsu's hand, he's still got 2 perfect guards in his hand. She needs another trigger. So, she stakes it all on this last drive check. And in this moment, you know the reason why Kagetsu loves this girl so much. Because in these high stress moments, this girl does not fumble. She dry checks and gets a critical trigger. And Kagetsu once again, with a starstruck and literal heart-shaped eyes, loses to his crush. He met the one time I might add. Ruka wins. Now onto the extra segment. Looking at Ruka's deck here, while of course there's far too many neutrals because there's not enough one who arrived at Paradise cards, I can honestly say it's a very balanced deck. It's not very strong in terms of offense, I will have to say. Like, just looking at this, there's not too many cards that give you like an unrealistic amount of attack to break through some of the high guard decks. But if you consider how much this deck looks at the top few cards of the deck, I guess having multiple choices for like, you know, what you want to play helps. But I think she could have added a few more offense-based cards. That's just my opinion. Now, looking at Mr. Kagetsu himself, the only thing I can say is, bro, damn, why do you only have one Hell's Vagar? Bro, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, bro? Why is this your deck? But other than that, the fact you're still running Bobo Mine, bro, what? Are you serious? No, honestly, I got nothing else to really say about it. I mean, this deck, or any Mythish deck, is kind of easy to build. You just need a lot of Raven Orcs, Rotsneers, Gazarims, and Hell's Vagar. It's not that hard. It's just like, why are you purposely shooting yourself in the foot by running a Bobo Mine and one Hell's Vagar, bro? Like, seriously? Seriously? Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I think Kagetsu is more of a victim of crappy deck building, because what on earth am I actually looking at? This is disgusting. But I guess Ruka's luck was more important, because she had 2 times where she needed those triggers. So all I can say is, she's hella lucky. Good job to Ruka for winning the battle between the one who guides children to paradise and the one Sailor Moon himself. Congratulations to Ruka for winning the battle between Sailor Moon and the Guardian of Light. Thank you everyone for watching. If you want to check out any other Cardfight Vanguard videos, be sure to check out these ones. Honestly, I think that these couple of things are quite fun for me. I like making these analysis, but it just takes me a while because, I mean, I'm the only editor here. So sorry, and I don't have all the time in the world to do it. So sorry everyone. Hope you can understand. Thank you for checking out this video. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye everyone!